the fridge said babysitting Clara would be easy if you followed 5 rules. Rule 1. Feed her before sunset. Rule 2. Cover every mirror by 8. Rule 3. If you hear glass tapping, do not tap back. Rule 4 was underlined 3 times. If Clara's reflection enters the room before Clara does, do not hug it, no matter how hard it cries. At 8:12, you heard a little girl sobbing in the hallway mirror. She pressed both palms against the glass and whispered, "She left me in here again." Behind you, the real Clara giggled from the dark kitchen. "Don't listen to her," she said. "Reflections always lie about which side is safer. She may ask for the moon lamp. She may not ask to see herself." Mara smiled, because parents with rules were usually just parents with guilt. Mrs. Ellery handed her a folded note. These are not suggestions. The note had 7 rules. Most were ordinary in the way nightmares pretend to be ordinary. 1. Clara eats only from the blue bowl. 2. Do not let Clara count your teeth. 3. If Clara says someone is walking behind you, do not turn around. Ask her what color the footsteps are. Rule 4 had been underlined 3 times. If Clara's reflection enters the room before Clara does, do not hug it. Mara read that one twice. Mrs. Ellery did not laugh. Neither did Mr. Ellery, who stood at the foot of the stairs with one hand on the banister and one hand over his mouth. He looked like a man trying not to be sick. Clara came down at 7:14. She was small for 8, with a neat black braid and serious eyes. She wore yellow pajamas printed with moons. She carried a stuffed rabbit by one ear. "Hi," Mara said. Clara looked at Mara's mouth. "Hi," she said. "You have 28. Mara stopped smiling. The Ellerys left without saying goodbye to their daughter. For the first hour, nothing happened. Mara made pasta in the blue bowl. Clara ate exactly 7 bites, then pushed the bowl away. They played a card game Clara had invented, where all the queens had to be placed face down, because, Clara said, they did not like being looked at. At 8:52, Clara asked for the moon lamp. Mara took her upstairs. The bedroom was pale and careful. No reflective surfaces, no framed glass. The windows were covered with blackout curtains, and then covered again with quilts pinned around the edges. The moon lamp sat on the dresser, glowing softly through a frosted plastic shell. Clara climbed into bed. Mara read from a book about a bear who could not sleep. Halfway through, Clara whispered, "What color are the footsteps?" Mara did not turn around. She remembered Rule 3 and felt suddenly grateful for it. "I don't know," Mara said. "What color are they?" Clara's eyes moved to the doorway behind Mara. "Silver," she said. "That means they are still outside the room." Mara finished the page with her voice shaking. At 9:06, Clara fell asleep. At 9:11, someone knocked on the bedroom door from inside the hallway. 3 soft taps. Mara opened it because she was still thinking like a babysitter. The hallway was empty. Downstairs, the television murmured to itself in the den. Then, she heard Clara laughing in the kitchen. Mara turned back to the bed. Clara was still asleep. The laugh came again, small and bright. From below, Mara walked to the top of the stairs. In the dark window over the landing, the brown paper had peeled away from one corner. The exposed glass caught a thin reflection of the kitchen. A girl in yellow pajamas stood at the refrigerator. She held the blue bowl. Mara's first thought was that Clara had sleepwalked. Her second thought was that the shape in the reflection was facing the wrong direction. The real kitchen was behind Mara and downstairs. The reflected girl should have been a sliver, an angle, a mistake. Instead, the girl in the window turned and looked straight at her. Her face was almost Clara's. Almost is where fear lives. The eyes were too polished. The smile was too patient. When she lifted one hand, the movement left a silver afterimage in the glass. Mara backed away. Behind her, Clara's bedroom door opened. The real Clara stood there, holding the stuffed rabbit. "Do not hug it," Clara whispered. From downstairs, the other Clara called. "Mara, I had a bad dream. It sounded perfect." Trembling, small, exactly the way a frightened child should sound. Mara grabbed the real Clara's hand and pulled her into the bedroom. The girl's fingers were cold, but solid. Human. Mara shut the door and locked it. There was no lock on the bedroom door. The knob turned anyway. Not all the way, just enough to make the latch click once, politely, like a tongue against teeth. Clara climbed under the bed. Mara followed. They lay shoulder to shoulder in the dust, while the thing outside spoke in Mara's mother's voice, then Mrs. Ellery's voice, then Mara's own. "Open up," it said. "I know how to be scared now." The blackout quilts over the windows began to glow silver around the pins. One by one, the pins pulled out. The glass beneath the fabric did not show the bedroom. It showed a white corridor lined with children who looked like Clara, each one standing inches behind a pane, their palms pressed flat to invisible surfaces, their mouths moved together. Clara covered Mara's ears. "Do not listen when they count backward," she whispered. Mara listened anyway. 28, the reflection said. 27. 26. With each number, Mara felt one tooth loosen in her mouth. The bedroom door opened inward. The reflection entered before the child. It crawled because reflections do not understand knees unless they have watched them long enough. "Amazing you will. I do not wronged all of the trat. I will mean enough with an action." It wore Clara's yellow pajamas. It dragged its stuffed rabbit by the ear. Its face shone like a spoon. Mara wanted to scream. Instead, she bit down until blood filled her mouth and held Clara so tightly the child whimpered. The reflection stopped beside the bed. It lowered its head until one polished eye looked into the darkness beneath the frame. "Mara," it whispered. "Hug me, and I can stop being outside." Clara shook her head against Mara's shoulder. "Do not," she breathed. Mara did not move. The reflection smiled wider than Clara could. Then it reached under the bed and counted Mara's teeth with one cold finger. The Ellorys came home at 5:40 a.m. They found Mara and Clara asleep in the bathtub. Every mirror in the house was facing outward again. The brown paper had been removed from the microwave door. Written in condensation on its black glass were 4 new words. She almost loved me. Mara never babysat again. 3 weeks later, she received an envelope with no return address. Inside was the original rule sheet and a Polaroid of herself standing in the Ellery kitchen. She had no memory of the photograph being taken. In the picture, Mara was hugging Clara. Behind them, in the reflection on the microwave door, the real Clara stood alone in the dark, holding up 4 fingers